Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of what is the Arsenal Transfer Show, joining you every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Thank you as always for making this show a part of your morning routines. It is very much appreciated in what is another glorious day here in the UK. Sun is shining. Very warm. I feel like the tan is building up somewhat, and I'm looking forward to maybe to get some more fresh air a little bit later on this afternoon, and working today. So we're going to be cooped up inside the office for a fair amount of time before we're able to get out there and enjoy the sun. But I'm looking forward to another day, another discussion on transfers, hearing from all of you guys and girls as well in the chat box and see what you got to say about the club and about Arsenal's transfer business. We've got lots to discuss, so let's not waste any time. Good morning to those joining us live: Blackshine, Babatundi, Akmal, Sam. Good morning to Paul Outdoors. Good morning to Tom, to Carl, to Wilson, to Mr. E. Good morning to Oderile. Good morning to Manu and Trevor. Good morning as well to Samir, who joins us as a brand new member of the channel as well. Thank you so much, Samir, for supporting the show, and welcome to the TGT family. I can see people welcoming you already. Mubarak, good morning to you, to Mike, to Stuart, to Bakary Lasagna. Good morning to everybody else joining us as well. Thank you as always to you all, and I hope that you are indeed doing safe and well. Let's crack on with today's stories. We start with Nazer Kinsella of the Evening Standard reporting that Jorginho is set to snub a move to Lazio instead. The Italian midfielder favours remaining at Arsenal for the forthcoming season in what is certainly a much preferable destination from our side of things. You know, with Arsenal's, and we'll talk about this shortly, but the departures that we're expecting from the midfield, I feel like Jorginho is almost being forgotten about somewhat. He still does remain at the club, and I think overtook Partey in the pecking order into midfield come the end of last season, and has been a real asset, I think, to the side as well since we brought him in January. So very much glad that Jorginho will be staying into the new season. I think he's going to be an asset for us, and I don't think there was any amount of money whatsoever that was going to deter us, if you like, from making that deal extend to the full length of time that we signed him for. So good news indeed. Now, there's no indication, according to various outlets now, that Balogun will indeed stay at Arsenal, and there are more clubs, more and more teams becoming interested in the player. More Premier League clubs are said to be growing in interest in following Balogun. Arsenal will be hoping, if indeed Balogun is to move on during this summer transfer window, that they can make a serious amount of money on the player. You'd have to think, with a number of clubs, that easily upwards of £35 million is what Arsenal should be looking to try and grab on Balogun. I know that some people suggest they want to see even more than that. I'm just trying to remain a bit more realistic about things right now, but upwards of £35 million would be my expectation on a deal, and hopefully the amount of clubs that are intrigued by potentially signing Balogun will help Arsenal with reallocating funds elsewhere during this window, and we'll talk about how Arsenal are spending those funds very shortly. And moving to further outgoings, increasing interest from Saudi clubs are taking place. I mean, you have kind of the main four Saudi clubs that we've seen reported all throughout the summer being linked with Kalidou Koulibaly, with Hakim Ziyech, and of course Edouard Mendy as well. But what we're starting to see is other clubs coming in for potentially trying to sign Thomas Partey from Arsenal. Al Shabab are another side, not in the big four, that are also said, according to Ryan Taylor, about this. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this deal happen. Thomas Partey moving off to Saudi Arabia potentially in the coming weeks. And there's said to be a potential resolution at around 40 million euros. Fabrizio Romano says clubs could offer as much as around, that's 36 million pounds or so. That's what Arsenal would end up getting for Thomas Partey, a player with 2 years left in his contract. Of course, he's over the age of 30 now, and has had significant injury issues as well. So over £30 million, I think, would be, you know, if Arsenal end up getting that, a price that would probably reflect the stage at where he's at. But if there's enough interest, maybe Arsenal can try and push the fee up to somewhat higher levels. Xavi Simons moving into potential incomings. PSG's buyback of Xavi Simons is said to be just €6 million. It activates between July 1st and July 31st, according to Fabrizio Romano. It's unknown whether or not any clubs like Arsenal will indeed move for Xavi Simons, but they are said to be keeping an eye on the situation. Whether or not he's a player that Arsenal will move for, we'll have to wait and see. But Arsenal are said to be being kept informed of the latest on Xavi Simons. Staying with Dutch internationals, Jurrien Timber. There is expected to be a new bid made, which Ajax will hopefully be open to accepting. There was an expectation of around £50 million from Ajax. Arsenal's first bid of £30 million, as we knew and I reported at Football London, needed to be significantly upped, needed to be improved. And hopefully we will see that happen. I think a deal at around £40 million is what hopefully will be enough to come to an agreement between the two teams. We'll have to wait and see. But if we do manage to get Jurrien Timber through the door, that's obviously going to be a massive, massive benefit for us. So hopefully we can see that deal get done. Moving forwards, and we have got, obviously, I laugh because it feels like every day now, we are talking about Declan Rice. And Declan Rice continues to see positive negotiations between the club and Arsenal and West Ham, but we are still awaiting kind of a resolution on this as well. Negotiations with Arsenal, West Ham are said to remain positive, and both clubs are working towards coming to an agreed price for the England international. That's according to Sky Sports. Will this deal get done? I'm positive. I'm optimistic. I've remained optimistic and positive about this deal, and Arsenal are trying to do everything that they can to try and get this deal done. But as Jimbo said, we're getting a bit bored. It's like reality TV, the Daily Rice show, as Marcus says. We need to see a breakthrough. Hopefully it comes soon. And if it does, it'll be a massive credit to Arsenal for getting the deal done. There's been suggestions that Manchester United have got an interest in the player. I'm not sure whether or not. This is obviously more so coming from the West Ham side of things. If you remember when we put in that first bid that was rejected, when we put in that first bid that was rejected, we heard about Man City's interest. There were suggestions that a bid would be made from a rival club within that week. It was said that Man City would make their kind of interest more formal this week. It's now Thursday, and we've still not heard anything regarding Man City making a bid. It does feel like all of this talk around rival clubs coming in for Rice, there's a lot of talk. There's not so much action. Let's wait and see what happens. But right now, Arsenal remain favourites and are trying to come to an agreement over a price for Rice. Now, our headline story of the day, as reported initially by David Ornstein yesterday, Arsenal have indeed agreed a fee with Chelsea for Kai Havertz, a £60 million plus deal with $5 million in add-ons expected to be what is agreed between the two sides. That $60 million is expected to be paid over the course of 3 years. The add-ons are relatively achievable from an Arsenal point of view and a Chelsea point of view as well. And Havertz will indeed become an Arsenal player during this summer window. The riskiest summer signing I think Arsenal could have made. I've said that from the start. I said that this will be certainly a risky deal should Arsenal manage to pull it off. And I'm very, very much looking forward, hopefully, to seeing him prove a lot of people wrong. Now, the price tag has caused a lot of debates. And on Twitter yesterday, I thought I'd have a little bit of fun and try and wind up a couple of Arsenal fans with a kind of tongue-in-cheek tweet about lowballing Chelsea and succeeding. Chelsea wanted 75 million, and it looks like we'll pay 65 million, getting for 10 million less than they were initially asking for. This is why you lowball. And I was like, I wonder what Arsenal fans are going to bite onto this. So I just having a little bit of fun. I have got 250 plus quote tweets from Chelsea fans. I really didn't think that when I went a little bit fishing yesterday that I was going to catch the blues, but ended up certainly doing that. So for those Chelsea fans that are watching to see some salty tears, you're instead going to see me waving at you and looking forward to seeing Kai Havertz in an Arsenal shirt. Very much look forward to it. Right then, let's go to part 2 and your questions right after this. Right then, let's jump into the chat and tackle some questions for today. We will not be going to the full hour. We'll only be going until 12:30 today. So I'm sorry, but there'll be no 9 a.m. show all the way through. I want to make sure that we get out the show before. And, I think we saw yesterday that there was no exclusive breaking news that we saw. There's always going to be something. There's always going to something break after we complete the show. It's inevitable that will happen. but let's let's just accept it for what it is, and then of course we'll round things up. I'm hoping to bring you a show this evening as well, actually, with some guests and more as well. I'm hoping to bring you more evening shows. I know there's a lot of US-based listeners watching us, Canadian-based listeners, South American listeners listening, and I thank you for it. But hopefully we'll be doing some evening shows so you can also tune in more easily into our live shows as well. Let's go. Gooner Jake says, Tom, who would you like to see come in if Thomas Partey is sold? I think obviously this Lavia deal is something hopefully we can get done, but I don't think that Lavia and Rice and Havertz alone are enough to deal with the absences of Xhaka and Partey. I would like to see Arsenal move for somebody else. I talked in yesterday's show about Mikel Moreno. I know that there are a number of players at Liverpool after right now, Kefren Turam, Kone as well. These are players I think Arsenal should rightly be having a look to. So let's wait and see if Arsenal do indeed move towards anything else in the market regarding this replacement for Partey. Let's wait and see. Marcus says, but Ornstein's promised a 9:05 announcement, Tom. If he has, that's down to David. I hope it's a good one from an Arsenal perspective, but we will certainly not be live if that indeed does drop. Look, Clock Orange says, if Partey leaves, don't we need another centre mid? Yes, we do. Darren says, Cash and Balogun and another for Caicedo. I mean, I'd love to see that done, but I don't see realistically that one happening. I think Chelsea will eventually get Caicedo done. What I would say is that we've still not seen any movement on that Caicedo thing. I guess that maybe we're waiting until July before they make that deal done and move for it, but they're at the moment in the process of negotiating plenty of departures. What I would say on Chelsea's departures, a lot of people have suggested that, why can't Arsenal sell like Chelsea? If you have a quick look at the amount of losses that Chelsea are making on the players that they are losing, then you'll have a better idea of actually, no, we don't really want to sell like Chelsea because they are making serious losses in all the players they've invested in as a club. So hopefully that continues and we continue to see them make serious losses on their players. Let's go to Wilson says, if Partey and Xhaka leave, do you think that we need 3 or 4 midfielders? Yes. Why? Because we need to strengthen, not just replace players. Benitez says, Tom, do you think the Rice to Man United rumours are true? I think there's interest for Man United for sure, but at the moment, there's still very much, it seems, a willingness of West Ham to try and drum up interest from other teams. So let's just stay chill, stay calm, and wait to see what happens with Arsenal. They are confident, Arsenal, about getting a deal done for Rice. So let's pay that confidence back with some patience. Fraser says, have you heard any updates on Cedric, Tavares, and Lokonga? Not as far as I'm aware. Cedric, the only news we have on him is that he wanted to try and stay and fight for his place, but Arsenal are trying to seek an exit for him. Lokonga, they're said to be interested in Burnley, but nothing's been activated yet. And Tavares, we've said there was interest in West Ham of all clubs as well, potentially, and also from France and Italy, but nothing has moved in that sense either. As I've said before, these are the types of players that I expect will move towards the end of the window rather than moving towards the start or the middle of the window. I'd be more surprised if that happened. Only Lokonga of those I'd be not surprised to see move a little bit earlier on. Stephen says, Arteta obviously has a plan for Havertz. Any ideas what the plan may be? Yeah, I think there is scope for Havertz to rotate with Jesus. I think there's scope for Havertz to play in the midfield with Martin Odegaard in kind of a 8-10 hybrid role on the left-hand side, or you swap him around and play Odegaard on the left-hand side. I think there's options for us there. And I think also that you could play him instead of Odegaard if you wanted to rotate that attacking midfield option out. So I think there are 3 potential options. What's the primary one? I'm not sure. We're going to have to wait and see, but I'm excited to find out where indeed we see it. But I think that Jesus' ability to play in a wide area is going to help for some rotation in that forward line. Samir says, Rice, Zubimendi and Lavia, what do you think, Tom? Zubimendi doesn't appear to have any interest in leaving Real Sociedad, unfortunately. So I doubt that you're going to see Zubimendi join Arsenal during this window, or any other club for that matter. He seems very content at staying with Real Sociedad. So let's wait and see. Going to Van of Duty, if the Saudi clubs continue to buy players, do you think Arsenal will be more willing to buy older players, knowing that they have potential to get part of the money back from a future transfer? It depends, because with the Saudi clubs' evolution as a financial powerhouse in the sport, yes, they might choose to sign some older players now, but they might then move to sign younger players, and by that time we may have missed the boat on selling the older options to Saudi Arabia or other nations that decide to invest a lot more money in football. So it's a risky strategy. GNA says, Tom, I'm skeptical about Lavia. I don't doubt his talent, but given how our seasons have gone with vital players being injured, don't you think that we need a better contingency? I fear that we won't sign 3 centre mids. I have that fear as well, that we won't sign 3 centre mids. I'm hopeful that we do. But what I think also regarding the Lavia deal is that this is someone incredibly talented that's played a full season of Premier League football with Southampton, stood out significantly, and I'm hopeful that we see a Romeo Lavia that's going to go to strength to strength to strength. He's going to need minutes. He's going to need to play to be able to do that. And I'm hoping that we move in that direction as well. You gang says, Tom, do you think we missed an opportunity with Sandro Tonali? Of course, Newcastle are closing on a deal with Milan around 70 million euros, so upwards of 50 million pounds to sign Sandro Tonali, going against the theory of Italian players moving to the Premier League. I remember kind of debated about that, and whilst we said that, yeah, they tend to, you don't rule it out, and certainly they can still move in that direction. Potentially, it's still going to be a risk. How he transitions from the Serie A as an Italian to the Premier League remains to be seen. Is always going to be an associated risk with a deal like that, but let's wait and see what happens. But it's a good deal, you'd have to say, by Newcastle. He's a good player. It's just about how indeed he will transition. Have Arsenal missed out on opportunity? I don't think so. I think Arsenal are targeting players like Lavia and Havertz and Rice that are the Premier League experience, and they're moving in that direction to try and boost the squad. Elijah, thank you so much for the very kind donation and super chat. I can't see a follow-up comment, so unless you accidentally meant to leave one without donating it, I'll try and look out for another comment from you in a little bit, Elijah, that I can pick up. But thank you for the kind donation, and I hope that you leave another comment into the chat box very soon. King Shook, says, what do you make of Newcastle with Tonali? I kind of covered that. Joe says, what about going for Gooner as a Saka replacement, or rather backup? Super talented and affordable. Yeah, he's got an affordable buyout clause around 17.5 million euros. If indeed Arsenal look to try and move for him, we'll of course do a tactical breakdown, and I've already spoken to our good friend Reese, our Turkish football expert Reese, about that potential move. And if it does look like it's going to, if there's any movement on it, you can be sure we'll bring you a breakdown on it. But regarding what I think about it, it's an option. He scored a brilliant goal for Turkey. I don't know if you saw it during the international break. But what I think is that, again, it's another young player, and it's potentially something else. Gifted subs. Hold on. It doesn't show me when it happens on StreamYard, but apparently a lot of people have been gifted membership. Wow. Stephen Wolf Pereira has gifted 50 TGT memberships into the chat box. Wow, that is very, very generous indeed. Steve, thank you ever so much. And I'm sure you can see all of the people in the chat box already gifting 50 memberships. That is a very, very, very generous thing that you've done there. And I'm sure you've made a lot of people very, very happy in the chat box. I can see loads of people now with new memberships. Of course, it's completely random when this happens. We've got no idea who indeed is going to get the memberships when it happens. But for those that have, congratulations. And you can send your thanks to Stephen regarding that. I will make sure that I leave a link to our Discord server in the community tab after today's show. So for those of you that have been gifted a membership, welcome to the TGT family, and welcome to our Discord server as well, if indeed you are expert members and TGT ambassadors. You'll also, if you are a member and now on our Discord server, be able to come on to some of our transfer member podcast that we're going to be doing. And next season, if you remain with us a member, you'll also be able to jump on for our preview shows for the upcoming season. So welcome to the new members of the TGT family. You are very much welcome as well. And Hess joining up as a brand new member themselves as well. Amazing stuff. So thank you to Stephen. I'm trying to see if Stephen's left a message. I see Clive's jumped in. Tom, check the guy that's gifted 50 memberships. I wish that StreamYard offered you kind of it allowed me to throw it up. It only shows me on the YouTube app. But Stephen, that's very kind of you indeed. I'm trying to search frantically to see if you've left a message or anything like that. But massive thank you to Stephen for being so very generous to gift so many memberships to new people listening in during this transfer window. Rancid says, what do you think about the potential loan move of Ruben Neves back to Newcastle? This would be disgusting and concerning. Yeah, I've seen these rumours, and frankly, it would be a really eye-raising thing to happen, and I'm hoping that it does not get kind of pushed under the carpet as soon as just a, one of those things. I'm really hoping that if that does happen, then the relevant action is taken. Acorn says, hey, Tom, Robbie from AFTV has said that the Partey deal is more on the player wanting to leave than the club wanting to sell. What are your thoughts? Well, if Partey recognises that at the end of last season, he was basically moving to the bench and Jorginho was overtaking him in terms of a squad position, and Arsenal are looking to sign Declan Rice, I'm not surprised that there's potentially more kind of from him anyway to try and make that move away from Arsenal, knowing that he's probably not going to be he's probably not going to be starting as many games if Declan Rice comes in, but let's see what Arsenal end up doing. Steve messaged above. Okay, I'm trying to find the message from Steve now. It's going to take me some time. I'll answer a question while I frantically try and frantically try and search for the message from Steve. Glax says, what are your opinions on the Eddie Nketiah move? I think that obviously we're still waiting to see if anything concrete is made by by any club to come in for Eddie Nketiah. If Arsenal can get a good fee for him, however, then obviously we're going to be very much happy with the idea of that happening. So hopefully, anyway, we see that happen, because I think Arsenal could do with getting a significant amount of money from a potential sale. I think I just saw Steve leave a message in the chat, so I'm hoping I've just found it. He says basically celebrating the Havertz signing. Havertz signing mi amigo. There you go. So basically, what we got to do is we got to hope Arsenal pull off some more signings, because Steve is going to be very generous. No, but thank you again, Steve. Very, very kind of you. And as I say, I'll be leaving a brand new link for all the brand new members to our Discord server in the community tab when the show is done. But thank you again to Steve. Matt says, why do you think Havertz turned down approaches from Bayern to join Arsenal? Well, what we heard is that Havertz had some really good Arteta had some really good talks with Havertz about the potential role that he would play in the team, about what the vision would be for him as well moving forwards. And because of that, there is obviously hope that we see Havertz unlock his full potential. And I think that Havertz believes that he will be unlocking his full potential at Arsenal. That certainly would be an amazing thing for Arsenal, because what we saw at Bayer Leverkusen was one of the most talented young German players to come through the nation. So we're hoping that Arsenal can unlock all of those potentials, all of that that fantastic ability that was there. And as Ondavoli says, what if it doesn't work out? We'll cross that bridge, I guess, when it comes. But certainly I have said a number of times that Arteta is the one that is pushed for this. Arteta is the one that is taking this risk. And so Arteta will face the criticism if indeed the Havertz deal does not work out. But let's wait and see. I also always prefer that we look at things optimistically. So, I think all of us are backing him. Nearly all of us are backing him. I know there are some people out there that aren't keen on the move, but, if you're an Arsenal fan and Arsenal sign a player, you back them to succeed. It's as simple as that. And I think all the Arsenal fans, or all the genuine Arsenal fans out there, are going to be backing Havertz to absolutely smash it at Arsenal. Ibeobuchi says 3-2-4-1. Is that the formation now with fitting Havertz into things? I think that we've always played with kind of a back three whilst Zinchenko has been involved. He moves into midfield when he plays and we're in possession. In defence, it's fluid, it's different. As I've told people, you do need to kind of abandon, if you like, structures, because the way in which football works, it's not in numbers anymore. It's a very fluid structure, fluid system. And I think that we move into that three at the back system when we're in possession. But absolutely, I think that Havertz will join the offence, and I think he will be more offensive minded. But he's also got some of the best defensive stats for a forward player on the market. You look at his FB statistics, comes out really good with his pressures, with his tackles, with his physicality, with his recoveries, with his interceptions. For a forward player, he ranks really well. So I think that energy is going to be really, really good. I also saw some really good tweets. I think it was some statistical tweets looking specifically at what Havertz has brought to Chelsea last season. Most goals, most shots on target, most chances created, most aerial duels won, most possession won in the final third, most passes in the final third, most duels won, most flick-ons and most layoffs. Havertz, as Squawker tweeted, did it all for Chelsea last season. Basically, we bought their best player, is what that means. Ethan, thank you so much for the kind donation. Do you think the size of the Arsenal fan engagement online drives the media coverage of every inch of movement Arsenal make in the transfer window? Without a doubt, it is a business at the end of the day. You know, the transfer window drives huge levels of engagement across the entire world. Arsenal is a global fan base and one that is probably the most engaged of any fan base on the planet. So, without a doubt, Arsenal fan engagement will drive media coverage of the transfers, and there'll be more attention on Arsenal's transfers than potentially other teams, and more people are dedicated to trying to find out, get the inside scoop on lots of things going on in the world of Arsenal. So, yeah, absolutely. Ikwan says, 1,800 of you watching, and we've only got 70 likes. This is a crime. You've just been gifted 250 odd memberships, or 50 memberships, I think, or something like that. Something ridiculous. Anyway, 50 memberships have been gifted to the chat box today, and there's only 70 likes. What's that about? Come on, people. Make sure you drop a like on the video. It's always appreciated. You've got to appreciate the hard work that goes into putting these shows on for you every single day. We've done more than 200. Well, we've done way more than 200. We've done more than 600 8 a.m. morning shows. Please do. When you get on the show, it takes you 1 second. You click that like button. It just needs to become part of that routine. You join in, you click the thumbs up, and you enjoy the show. It's as simple as that. You've got 2 jobs. Click the like, enjoy the show. Simple. Gavin says, good morning, Tom. Hope you're well. I am indeed. First time stopping by for a while. Isn't it lovely to see us actively pursuing our targets and knowing that we want to achieve this from the market? Hasn't always been like this, Gavin. You're spot on, my friends, and it is absolutely refreshing, which is why I find it so shocking that still we're not seeing really strong positivity around this window and around what Arsenal want to do during this window. I think that there is so much excitement around what's potentially coming this season that we've got loads of reasons to be optimistic and positive about what we're trying to do. We just got to get those deals over the line. That's what's ultimately going to really push the positivity and the optimism about the season forward. Once Rice signs, once that deal is done, I think that's when a lot of people will be able to relax a little bit more. But until then, we will wait and see. So let's wait and see indeed what ends up happening. Let's go to Elliot. And also thank you, Elliot, for becoming a brand new member of the channel as well. Time for me to share my views and expertise on this wonderful channel, Tom. Looking forward to the experience, Elliot. You are very welcome indeed, and welcome to the TGT family. James says, Kai Havertz will be a good remember when we brought in Henry. He was a bench mover at Juventus. And see what he did at Arsenal. Also, Chelsea, the amount of players they've brought in and then got rid of and have gone on to bigger and better things. There's a list as long as your arm. De Bruyne, Salah, Cuadrado. There's so many players that they've brought in and have moved on, have done better. So do not take that Chelsea experience as gospel, because it's certainly, in my mind anyway, it is not that. Steve says, not a question, but just wanted to congratulate you on the strength and style of this community. P.S. Thanks, Stephen. Steve, thank you so much. It means a lot when we get comments like this. These comments mean the most to me. The ones that congratulate us on the community that we've built here, the grounded, the open, the respectful foundation of this community is amazing. And I'm hoping to be able to pay that back to you soon with a live show. I'm hoping to get that sorted at some point, either this summer or maybe into the season. But I'm hoping to pay that loyalty and the support that you've given to us back in the form of a live show, that's how we can bring people in this community together so they can meet one another. And it's not just on a screen, but it's in real life as well. Jason says, not overwhelmed with the Havertz signing, but I will back the player and hopefully check him out at the Emirates Cup. Of course, Arsenal will be returning. They're looking to return in the Emirates Cup a little bit later on this summer. I think Monaco is the team that will be playing in the Emirates Cup. So I look forward to seeing him at the Emirates. Hopefully we'll be at that game as well and be able to witness all the brand new players and maybe even speak to some of the new players after the game. Esmond says, can we not play Eddie and Folarin Balogun? It is 90 minutes per match and the Premier League Plus, along with many other competitions as well. I mean, for me, I don't think there's space for both. I think you need to move one on. I've made my views very clear on who that should be, but I'm not expecting that to be the case. Ikwan says, Tom, aren't you gutted for the prices that Chelsea are able to get for selling their flops? Reverse the role. If Havertz was flopping, we would get 10 million for him. Again, I don't. It's a strange question because you're saying, like, is it frustrating for the players that the money they're getting for their flops? Like, why are we celebrating a club for having so many flops? Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a strange one. I can't get my head around. I really can't get my head around the idea of celebrating a club having so many flops and they're having to sell them. They made a loss on Koulibaly after a year. They've made a loss on Mendy. They've made a loss on Ziyech. They made a loss on Havertz. They're making losses over losses over losses on players. That is not something to celebrate. It is just not something to celebrate at all. Stephen says 500 likes. I can just see now there's 450 likes in the show already. If we can get out to 500 likes, Stephen has donated. All we need is those 50 people that he donated memberships to like the show, and we've done it. So that'd be great if we can try to get 500 likes. We've got a couple minutes left before we round things up. Let's see if we can make it. Amira says, do you see players City are letting go and who we're bringing in? Does it make it feel like there's a gap between the two clubs? And does it make it feel like it's closing? And should we never underestimate any City team and Pep? No, absolutely. You should never, ever underestimate the City teams. They've lost Gundogan, which is a big, big loss to them. They brought in Kovacic. That is going to be somewhat of a replacement for Gundogan. It depends what other business they do. They're interested in signing Josko Gvardiol from RB Leipzig, another really good player, but also one that I go, he's a good player, but is he going to play over Ake? Is he going to play over Diaz, on the left-hand side of that defence? Let's wait and see. But he's probably a replacement for Laporte in the long term. Will he bring more of an upgrade than Laporte? Potentially, yeah. Laporte's a very good player, but he probably does bring more of an upgrade in the long-term future for City. Let's have a quick check back. We're nearly there, guys. 5 more likes. We're there at 500. Jason says, if you was Thomas Partey's agent, what would you advise him to do? Would you say fight for your place in the team or put in a transfer request? I mean, my spiel is always to be fight for your place, but it's difficult. It's difficult. I think that if Arsenal can, if you think the player's better off moving to get more minutes, and I mean, I don't begrudge players, by the way, moving to Saudi Arabia at all. The amount of money a player can make can set themselves up for the rest of their lives. I know that they make a lot of money anyway, but like 2 seasons in Saudi Arabia on the money that some of those players are on is very difficult to turn down. So I don't begrudge those players making that switch at all. I don't begrudge Ruben Neves or Benzema or Ronaldo or, any of these players, to be fair. They've made that switch and they're going to earn a lot of money because of that switch as well. But in terms of what I think Partey should do, ultimately he has to decide whether or not he wants to fight for a place at Arsenal or if he wants to take that switch. And I won't begrudge either decision. Antoine says, hey, Tom, I think you sound very down to earth. Really enjoyed your show. So you see the membership that was sent. How do you add it and what can you use it with? If you were one of the very lucky 50 that was gifted a membership by Steve today, you can use it, I believe, if it was an expert membership or a TGT ambassador membership, to join our Discord server, which if you go into the community tab, so if you go into the channel homepage, which I might as well show you how to do it. It's probably a good idea to do that today. So if you go to the YouTube homepage, which I'll share my screen so that you can see it. Give me just but a second and I'll show you. Here we are. So if you go onto the channel's homepage, you can see this right here. And then you just click on where it says community. I'm not going to click on the community tab because obviously the link will be there. But you see where it says home, video, shorts, live, playlist, community. If you go onto that community tab just there, it will have a link very soon after the show is finished. And you'll be able to add and join the channel as well. So make sure that you do that. I look forward to welcoming all of you into the Discord server, the Discord server very soon. Someone said Steve's done it again. No way. Steve, you're a madman, my friend. Steve's gifted more memberships as well. And a lot of people have been very much appreciated in the chat box as well. 100 gifted memberships in today's show from Steve. That is amazing. Well, celebrating. Hopefully Steve is foreshadowing a Declan Rice deal getting done. That would be an amazing prize for us in today's show. We've got over 500 likes in today's show. Steve, you have been the driving force behind today's morning show. You are very much appreciated, and you are very, very appreciated by the people in the chat box as well. I'll be ending the show now and leaving a brand new link to our Discord server in there very soon indeed. I wish you all the health and the safety and wellness in the world. I hope that you enjoy your days, people. I hope that you thank Stephen for his very, very generous donation to this morning's chat box. I think, people leave super chats and it's very kind. People leave super thanks, really kind. But gifting memberships, I think, is a great way of if you want to support the channel. What a great way to do it. If you sadly missed out on the opportunity of becoming a member, you can become a member yourself. If you go to your desktop or your laptop and you go into today's video description, you will see a link tree. In that link tree, there is a link to the membership page. If you would like to join up as a member, go and do it. It is certainly something that I would recommend massively. So thank you to everybody that has helped us in today's show. You are amazing. And Steve, you are even more amazing. So thank you so much for the kind support. We will see you again a little bit later on this evening, in fact, and also see you tomorrow morning as well. Same time, same place. Stay safe, stay well, and as always, up the Arsenal.